I don't know about you, but when I'm building bases in Grounded, I like to have my base up high. It's awesome for getting a good viewpoint and see a whole bunch of the yard. It just feels neat to have a base that's like up in a tree. When I played the first Grounded, my favorite base was the one that I had at the very top of my tree. There aren't any zip lines in the game right now, but you might still want to build a high-level base. It was really handy in Grounded 1 for zipping around, so maybe when they add in the zip lines, it'll be useful for that too, but just be able to see the entire yard, or in this case, the park, from up where you've decided to build your base is pretty sweet. The problem with a high base like this is all the ramps you have to build to get up here. You can certainly run all the way up, but if you want a faster and more fun way to get up to the top of your base, though, you could try building an elevator out of the bounce web. I built this one in creative mode just as a demonstration. You can totally build these in survival mode. It does take a lot of work because there's a lot of resources to gather, but it works pretty well. Gives you a really fast way to get up very high in the game without any real effort. No time flat, you find yourself way at the top. Placed beside a tree or something, this is a really fast way to get up. You can't build on the hot dog cart, incidentally, if you were thinking of doing that. I have tried. You can't place any structures on there. You could build up next to it, I guess, with the elevator, and then like build something up top or on the shelf here if you wanted to. Anyway, let's drop down and I'll show you how we get this thing built. Basic structure of the web elevator is actually quite simple. You need some sort of a foundation to put your initial pieces down on. In this case, I'm using scaffolding. But if you don't want to harvest up the stems, you could put down clay or also the pebblet foundation if you like. There's a few different ways you could build this. Some people like to use just all clay because it's easy to carry all the supplies with you need while you're going up. I just happen to find that the grass works a little bit better for guiding you as you travel up the elevator because it's fairly easy to get knocked off. So you're going to put down 2 platforms. I found that the best way is with the lines going lengthwise across the platform. And then we're going to need a vertical one in the middle. Behind the vertical grass is where we're going to place our first bounce web. You'll see that the bounce web actually has different shapes on the different sides. Generally speaking, I like to grab this flat side over here and place that one as the one that's going to clip through the wall. We'll stick that on this side of the platform. And you'll see how you can still place the web even though it's going through the wall. You want it just to poke through just a little bit. Preferably lined up so it's straight as it goes through the grass wall. You can do that just by rotating and see as the left and right posts clip through. And you want it to poke through just a little bit. So this side, you can see there's just some of the web sticking out. As soon as you touch it, it'll launch you upwards. This has quite a bit of bounce power, so one web actually has enough to bounce you up 3 walls in height. However, I found that for speed and consistency, I prefer to put it only 2 walls high. Certainly, no reason you couldn't do 3, except that I did find that in Grounded 2, as you get near at the very top, it doesn't seem to bounce you up the last 3, so you might want to make your last wall pieces just too high instead of 3, so that you get the lift you need to get over the top. Once you've started the build, you can use your bounce web, of course, to get up on top. You want to land right on top of the wall. We're going to put another floor piece up here. We're going to do a double floor. Obviously, this is going to take a little bit more to build when you're putting down the blueprints and then having to fill them in with the grass. In creative mode, it's super easy because every piece is just built automatically. You don't have to carry the supplies. So it's not without its level of work to try to get this done. And we're just going to repeat the same process. Again, we'll take our platform. We're going to rotate it so the flat side is facing the wall. It does get a little glitchy when you're trying to place it on subsequent levels. And we want to clip through the wall just a little bit. Place another wall structure on top of that. We can get actually our floor piece ready, and then we can just use the bounce up to go up and land right on it. Again, this is much harder when you're actually having to carry all the pieces up. The higher you go, obviously, the more work it's going to be because you have to carry more and more of the resources up to the place where you want to stick them on the tower. So this process you're going to repeat all the way up, so you've got your tower going all over the top side. Now this will work the way that it is right now. You can just walk up to it and bounce your way up to the top. So it works perfectly fine this way. But I did find that sometimes when I was playing Grounded before with the elevator, it was really easy when you were touching the face of it to get knocked backwards just like that, which knocks you off the elevator space. It can be kind of annoying if you catch a piece and it sends you off a little funny.
Why,
it's not always exactly straight as you go up and down. So the easiest way to make sure that you stay safely on the tower is also to enclose the area in a little wall. So you've got basically a box that you're traveling up through like this. So you're going to use the smaller 2 wide planks on the left and the right. Then we're going to use the regular grass walls on the outer face of the elevator so that it goes all the way up this way. And that way, as you're bouncing upwards, it'll help keep you contained inside. With your elevator shaft completed, now you can bounce all the way up to the top, land straight on your platform. I find when I'm traveling up, it's best to kind of push towards the wall, just make sure you stay well adhered to it. Sometimes you might have to correct your steering a little bit left and right. And depending on how much of the bounce will we have poking through will depend how much you tend to vary as you're traveling up. As you can see, these ones are just barely peeking through. And so it's a pretty smooth ride all the way up to the top. That's pretty much what you want. Now, the first elevator I built over here, though, you'll notice that some of the webs actually stick out pretty far. And so as you hit them, you have a tendency to kind of bounce backwards a little bit sometimes. When you're traveling a very long distance like this, it can be really easy to fall off of the little pathway that's going up. So sometimes it takes just a little bit of steering to keep you on. But the closer you keep the webs into the wall, the more likely it is to be a smooth ride. Now, they don't have zip lines in the game just yet, but they are going to be adding them, so this could be a great way to build yourself a zipline tower as well. So if you wanted to just build a structure that gives you an easy way to slide from one place to another. In the meantime, until they add the zip lines in, you could always use that fun little bug that just lets you fly through the air instead. I did this in creative mode, so I don't take any damage. Just be careful if you use that little trick that you make sure you use your dandelion tuft, or you'll just go splat at the end.
A soldier ant. It could be a grizzled veteran of many ant wars.
Incidentally, if you're not familiar with building on trees or high structures in Grounded, not everything's as solid as it looks. About halfway up the tree is a solid trunk, but then everything above that is actually just a big illusion that you'll just pass right through. There is a solid part inside the tree that you can still get to, and this is a great place to like jump in and then get the bases set for how you're going to support your base. So, for example, you could drop into the center of the tree and then put down some scaffolding to stretch out to the outside of the tree and then use that as the basis for building. But as you can see, the tree here is not solid. Everything underneath here is, even though it's only actually like drawn solid all the way down there, but all this is solid inside this tree. I haven't tested the other trees yet, the pine trees, but I imagine they're very much the same. The top part of the tree is basically an illusion. There's a certain point up the tree where things stop being solid. That's kind of the place where I think that it's probably ideal for building your base. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video. I'm going to be doing a bunch of base building in my streams while I play the game. The game itself doesn't have a ton of content yet, since it's only just recently released in early access. Still lots of exploring and building to do, though. I suspect I'm going to wind up building bases in multiple places around the yard.